ध्यायेत् शारदचन्द्रसुन्दरमुखम् ताम्रारविन्देक्षणम् भक्ताभीष्टवराभयप्रदकरम् कौपीनमात्रोज्ज्वलम् स्वात्मानन्दरसानुभूतिविवशम् सर्वानवद्याङ्गकम् श्रीमन्तं श्रीरमणीश्वरं गुरुवरं योगासनाध्यासितम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणीश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणीश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणीश्वरम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षादात्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामच्युतव पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्। Namo Ramana. In this Friday Atma Vichara session by Ramanacentre for Learning, Bengaluru, we generally read an Upadesham from Bhagavan and meditate on it by his abundant grace. And we have been reading his Upadesham from a book called Ramana Answers, Self-Enquiry, 1900 to 1950, a wonderful compilation of all the questions put to Bhagavan on the subject of Atma Vichara, self-enquiry, and Bhagavan's answers to them. And after meditating on this question answer, we will have a 20-minute Atma Vichara practice. And then subsequently, our President, Dr. Sarada Akka, would be speaking about Atma Vichara as it has been contemplated in Ramana Gita. In Ramana Gita, it is again a form of questionnaire that are questions put by Ganapati Muni and others to Bhagavan on Atma Vichara, and Bhagavan's answer to those questions have been compiled in Ramana Gita as a Sanskrit verses. And then finally, we will have the concluding prayers to Bhagavan. In the question answer series, we have been looking at the 1936 questions put to Bhagavan between 1936 to 1950. And today we are looking at the 88th question. The devotee asks Bhagavan, not this, not this. That is the teaching to the seeker. He is told that the self is supreme. How is it to be found? Question I will repeat again. Not this, not this. That is the teaching to the seeker. He is told that the self is supreme. How is it to be found? Maharshi. The self is said to be the hearer, thinker, knower. but that is not all. The self is said to be the hearer, thinker, knower, but that is not all. It is also described as the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind. What is the means to know the knower? That is the question Bhagavan puts. I repeat Bhagavan's answer. The self is said to be the hearer, thinker, knower, but that is not all. It is also described as the ear of ear, the mind of the mind. What is the means to know the knower? The question here is to know about the self, and a person says that generally when we try to ask this, the answer given to the seeker is to say not this, and the self is the most supreme. So how is it one to find it then, when it is not anything that I can point to, not this, then how is it for me to know it? How is it for me to say I have found it? And obviously everybody says the self is supreme. So the Bhagavan here is first saying how the self is supreme. Generally people feel the self is the hearer, thinker and the knower, but that is not all. It is the ear of the ear, the knower of the knower, the mind of the mind. So it is the substratum. It is innate, on which the screen on which everything comes and goes. So whatever comes and goes, we can say, oh, is this what it is? Is this what it is you are talking about? Because it is something very objective for us to see. But the self is not such. That's why Bhagavan says it is the ear of the ear. It is the mind of the mind. It is the substratum on which everything else comes and goes. It is through the self, by the self, of the self that we are, and in the self that we are. So everything is the self. So Bhagavan, therefore, to answer the question, not this, why that makes sense, he puts a question, a counter question to really answer the statement, not this, Bhagavan asks us to inquire by putting a question. What is the means to know the knower? How can something which knows everything be known? Then, if we are attempting to know the knower, which knows everything, then we assume that there is a more subtler knower than the one which is able to know grossly everything. And if that logic were to be held on, who knows the subtler knower then? So the question keeps going deeper and deeper. So that approach is not the right approach. Therefore, nothing which we can know as objective is going to reveal the truth. That's why the statement, not this. When we look at it from the knower perspective, we may have little subtle doubts, because in the daytime, in the waking state, we seem to have somebody who knows all of this world and everything, and all the thoughts and everything. And then we also experience certain subtle states of consciousness where we don't know anything. Therefore, these doubts may rise as a dichotomy. But that's why Bhagavan is saying the self is not said to be the hearer, the self is said to be the hearer, thinker, or knower. But that is not all that it is. It is the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind. It is the true substratum. If we look at the the other thing of the self, that is the existence, then this dichotomy comes to a rest. There cannot be, I cannot say I exist twice or in two, I have two existence. I can never claim that I have two existence. I only have one existence, and that is here now. And when we look at that existence and know that it is only one without a second, then when we attend to it or when we remain as that, then and then only we know that it is innate, it is natural. The existence is given. It is my nature. I need not have to do anything to become existence. I already exist, period. I don't have even the ability to become non-existent. I continue to be there. Even in the deep sleep, when this body idea is not there as an existence, then also I exist to know that. Therefore, existence brings us to that. It even helps us transcend all dichotomies, makes us realize that it is not something, it makes us realize two things, that it is innate and natural. And therefore, to remain as that pure existence, I need not become anything else. I am already that. And therefore, this approach of trying to see it objectively or experience something objectively becomes very clear to be a wrong approach to know the self. And that clarity, when it dawns, it becomes easy whenever the consciousness tries to see something, know something, think something, hear something. It becomes easy to see that we are in the world of duality, which is like the screen and the picture, and we are trying to hold on to some picture or attend to some picture, and we know that this picture will be a passing one, and therefore there is not going to be any remedy of certainty that we can get here. And therefore the enquiry, to whom is this, who am I, or what is the means to know the knower, is the real way to wake up from that wrong approach of trying to know the self as a subject and object, but to inquire to whom is this, who am I, and realize that the pure existence that we are here and now, and where there cannot be two different existence, and there is no entity which can experience an existence separately. The one existence is giving existence to everything, and that verily I am. And therefore all dichotomies get dropped, and therefore all objective approach to the self is seen as a wrong approach, and then the statement not this, appears to be the right approach, or appears to be the right statement to make on the self. Because anything objectively which is seen, then the duality is held on to. And therefore, when we let go all this approach as not this, the pure existence that remains and knows itself, not through any other instrument, by itself experiencing itself. And in that pure silence, without that direct aparoksha anubhuti, the direct experience, is the true way of knowing the self, and it is supreme also at the same time, because that existence gives existence to everything else. None other have any existence. That's why Bhagavan keeps saying, you say the world exists, you say the body exists, you say the mind is there, you say there are a lot of thoughts in the mind. By doing that, what we are doing is lending our existence to the passing movie or the passing picture, and get perplexed by that existence instead of attending to our own existence, where nothing comes, nothing goes. We are nothing but the unchanging pure existence. Instead of attending to ourselves, we are attending to the passing image on the screen of pure existence. And therefore, the not this makes us as the right approach for the abidance. And because that is the substratum, that is the supreme. Self is the supreme. There is nothing beyond that. So that way, this question answer makes us to understand that the self is the most easiest thing to be found. But we are so obsessed with objective knowledge. And that obsession alone we need to let go. And therefore, inquiry makes us, whenever we see a thought, whenever we see any experience, any objective thing, Bhagavan, by putting the question, to whom is this, who am I, is making us realize our wrong obsession and saying that the sadhana is only to let go those things as not this, not this. And therefore, what remains, the pure existence, which we already are, will be found. Like the women who found her necklace right on the neck. We find that the existence is already what we are. And therefore, I need not have to strive, go find it anywhere. I only have to let go the wrong idea that I have to find it somewhere. And that is all that one needs to do. And because this idea is been our approach for all objective knowledge, we try to bring the same approach into knowing ourselves. And that false approach has to be transcended. And the sadhana is only for that. The sadhana is not to know, not to find the necklace. Sadhana is not to find the existence, which is already our natural state. Not to gain it any newly. It is already given. It is what we are. So that way, Bhagavan, through this question answer, is making it very clear that the self is the most easiest thing and to abide in. And the vichara is the most direct path to drop all duality. And therefore, it is called the Gnana Vichara. It drops all the Ajnana and takes us to the Gnana, the truth which alone is. And therefore, Atma Vichara is the most direct path. Here and now, to experience the truth that we are and let go all the transitory things which we were habituated to believe to provide some remedy. So, with the abundant grace of Bhagavan, with which alone we have come to this most direct path, for the next 20 minutes, no matter how many thoughts come, no matter whatever is the nature of those thoughts, good, bad, ugly, spiritual, we have to understand that is all nothing but duality. Starting when we inquire to whom is this, we know that it is for me, I. And the I itself is a thought. And that itself is an idea or a thought to the pure existence, the pure consciousness that we are. And therefore, by inquiring who am I, we transcend the first and the foremost division, imaginary division, and reach the substratum, the pure consciousness, the unchanging, vast, pure consciousness that we are, which Bhagavan says is throbbing or which is continuously going as the true I, unchanging. And by abiding in that, all the wrong ideas and notions that we have been carrying on is absorbed, says Bhagavan, in that. And finally, that also gets absorbed in the silence of the self. The abundant grace of Bhagavan. For the next 20 minutes, let us practice Atma Vichar. to Sarada Akka.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to the self manifest as Ramana, because of whose grace we are meeting in this satsang. And in this part of the satsang, we are meditating on the verses of Ramana Gita, which has been compiled by Ganapati Muni in 18 chapters. These are answers of Bhagavan to the questions of various seekers of truth. Most of them are disciples of the Muni, and some of the answers are to the questions posed by Muni himself. We are on the 9th chapter, which is on the subject of Granthi Bhedam. This is a mystical subject, and it is said by the Muni that it's a subject which actually befuddles many great knowers of the scriptures as well. And so Muni is seeking a firm and clear answer from Bhagavan for the whole world through his question. Very often we find that the Muni's questions are in order to bring Bhagavan's statements on the subject to the fore and gift these answers to the world. That has been Muni's concept in the Ramana Gita, in stringing together the Ramana Gita, and it is also mentioned by biographers that the Muni would encourage his disciples to ask questions of Bhagavan, because he was keen on recording all of Bhagavan's answers to doubts of all possible doubts of seekers of truth. So Bhagavan has told us this is a very significant aspect of Bhagavan's teaching as well, which Bhagavan reveals here and which Bhagavan has dwelt upon later in the Ulladu Narpadu. This is about the Granthi or the knot, which is the link or the bridge between the body and the self. And this, normally it is said that this knot has to be cut or broken or dissolved, because only when one knows that the knot is not, that there is no such thing, that it is an illusion, then one gets back to the self. So Bhagavan clearly says that this link is cut. It is created. First he says how it is created, and then he tells us how it is cut. He tells us how it is created. It is because of the light of the self, which moves to the Sahasrara or the mind center, and from there it moves to the entire body through various mysterious or subtle channels. We can say very subtle channels, which are not just not visible and very often not sensed either, except in different kinds of sadhanas they are sensed. In fact, there are so many sadhanas which take people to the world of each of these nadis. There are sadhanas which take people to the world of beautiful sights, to the world of beautiful sounds, to the world of beautiful fragrances. These are all visions or experiences which happen in some of the sadhanas. But then each of them, no matter how beautiful they are still within the realm of the Granthi. They are because of the externalization of the mind. They are because of identification with some name and form. Because of the identification with name and form, we experience, the world says Bhagavan, samsari manujo bhavet. Because we say that I am this body. And this is the basis of the illusion. And how is one to get over this illusion? Bhagavan says it is through the inquiry, who am I? And once one starts inquiring, who am I, then there is a churning of the nadis which takes place. Now, this churning, what is this churning? In this churning, lots of good things also come, lots of bad things also come. It is equated to the churning of the ocean of milk by the Devas and the Asuras. Who are Devas and Asuras? They are the good forces and the bad forces. And both are there in our mind. It is there in every mind. And what happens is when who am I is asked, then within ourselves, so many vasanas which are hidden, so many pains which are hidden, so many fears which are hidden, they all come to the fore because of the churning. And why do they come to the fore? Is the churning a bad thing? Why do we sometimes have these negative experiences in our sadhana? It is because that it is an opportunity to tackle them. The difficulties come because they are an opportunity for us to apply the questions taught by the Sadguru. The tests are given in order to be able to apply it and transcend that problem. Each problem comes in order to be able to apply the weapon of enquiry. It comes in order to be able to hold on to the faith in the Sadguru, the faith that he is here to give us the highest good, nothing less than that. What he wishes for us is the highest good. And in that highest good, any one of us experiencing that highest good is the highest good for the entire world, for every living being. There cannot be a higher good. Asti netodhikam phalam. Bhagavan has said categorically, there is no fruit higher than the fruit of self-enquiry. That means what? Is it mean for one individual? Actually, Bhagavan says there are no others at all. So, this churning does throw up sometimes or may throw up sometimes difficulties in our lives. But then, the funny part is it the case that those who are not doing self-enquiry are free of difficulties in their lives? Is it the case that those who are not having faith in Bhagavan are free of difficulties in their life? It is not the case. The point is that many people ask this question, why do good people suffer? They seem to think that bad people don't suffer. But what is the real suffering? The real suffering is the weight of the world which each one is carrying on our head. Bhagavan says in great compassion in his Arunachala Padikam, Paramani pirindu iவ்வுலகினை தலையில் நான் பெற்றது போதும் பற்றியான் பெற்றது போதும் பற்றியான் பெற்றது போதும். I've been carrying this world on my head. It is my world, it is my world, it is my body. And carrying it, oh, how much of suffering I have to undergo. Such a weight, it is one after another, one. It is ceaseless waves. One problem is over, another problem comes up. One difficulty is over, another difficulty comes up. They may be big or small. Sometimes the smallest difficulty seems like a mountain to us. It's all in the mind. I see that sometimes I interact sometimes with people in my own circles who maybe, I do not know what is the reason, but they get carried away. Today I did not get a piece of a string of thread. There's a very sweet old lady who stays with me, and from last night I have been watching her. She has been in the deepest of depression. She has been crying because, why? Because a plant in our house flowered. It had the most beautiful flowers. Just seeing that plant should have brought joy. But what was her thought? All these flowers have come. I will pluck those flowers, I will string those flowers together and I will keep it on my head, or I will string them together and offer it to God and keep it on my head. And due to her age, some factors, She's not able to remember very clearly many things, and she forgot where she kept the piece of thread. Her thread, her roll of thread. She just forgot where she kept her roll of thread. Now that is a cause of sorrow, because she cannot string her flowers, and she cannot offer it to God, and she cannot keep it on her head. She cannot decorate her hair with it. She cannot gift it to somebody, me, whom she thinks, out of great love, I want to give it to you. And then she says, she calls some other helper who is going to come home. She says, please bring me that ball of thread. She calls somebody else, says, please bring me that ball of thread. And she is weeping to me, saying, it's only because I am old. I cannot walk outside and go and buy that ball of thread for myself. Had I been young, I would have done it. Had I had children of my own, I would have done it. I told her, if you had children of your own, they were far away, they're not able to do it, they're in the midst of their tasks, will they be able to do it for you? You are able to call 4 people from Ramanacentre. Who has somebody like that who at least wants to help you? Who has another house help coming? Who at least wants to help you? But nobody was able to get her that piece of thread. And it was like the mountain has fallen on her head. There was no explaining that I could do, which would make her understand that it does not matter, that she can offer the flowers to God as it is. Okay, at the end of the day, she found that ball of thread in her own house, and she came and told me, what a great miracle my Lord has performed for me. It appears to be a small thing, but it was not a small thing, because for her it was a great sorrow. It consumed 24 hours of herbs. And tomorrow something else like this may come. I may say these are small things, but they are not small things. I can see that she is suffering. And I may be having some other problem which to me looks far larger than the problem which she is having. But the suffering is the same. The suffering, and Bhagavan says, suffering is a matter of choice. Pain is not a matter of choice, but suffering is a matter of choice. What is the choice? The choice is the identification which we have with the body and becoming a samsari. Once we have become samsaris, suffering is bound to happen. One way or the other, some cause or the other, something or the other is bound to go wrong. We have to be surprised if things are not going wrong. We have to be wonderstruck if everything is fine around us. Because it's like that. There is a day, there is the night. That's the way it will be. And we have seen our lives. We have seen many lives. We have heard stories in epics of suffering, after which after 15 years, after 20 years, happiness comes. But what of it? What of that happiness? Even that happiness, if we look at it, what is the happiness which the Pancha Pandavas enjoyed? They lost everyone. They lost all their dear ones. They lost all their enemies. But they lost their dear ones as well. Everyone, their own children. Everyone was gone. Victory, yes, victory to Dharma. Victory personally, we do not know whether they were happy, not happy. But they were happy to rule. Okay, this is the role given to us, the role of establishing Dharma. It was what Sri Krishna wanted us to do. And in that is the joy. In that surrender is the joy. In that acceptance is the joy. Not in getting what we want. Because it goes away, it keeps going away. So the granthi, unless this churning happens, unless we are ready to again and again pray for strength to Bhagavan, pray for strength. Yes, we are weak. Yes, there are these attachments. Yes, there are these vasanas. But it's okay. We have to cross. We have to cross. We have to cross. Each time there is a hurdle, we have to cross. Each time there is pain, we have to hold on to Him. And by holding on to Him, we have to hold on to self-enquiry. By holding on to self-enquiry, we have to hold on to Him, because the two are totally intertwined. There is no demarcation between Bhagavan's grace and His love and the power of self-enquiry. There is no demarcation at all. Self-enquiry actually connects us directly to Bhagavan and His grace. And that is what Bhagavan says. Once one has become directly connected in this way, then the self alone shines forth. He says, in such a one, the self alone shines forth, and that person becomes resplendent like a ball of iron, mere iron, but it is heated. Agni tapta mayo golam drishyate mayam yatha swavicharagni santaptam tathedam swamayam bhavet. Swamayam bhavet. Tathedam swamayam bhavet. Swam ayam bhavet. He becomes just that self alone is there shining. Shariradi jusham purva vasananam kshayastata. At that time, all Bhagavan says, it's like almost he's giving a phalashruti for that state. In this great text, we get a phalashruti. What happens? Oh, if you read this, all these difficulties will go, this will come, that will come. And here Bhagavan is saying, what happens? Purva vasananam kshayam. All the vasanas will get destroyed. What a beautiful state. How painful is each vasana. How painful is fear. How painful is attachment. How painful is sorrow. How painful is anger. How painful is every one of our vasanas that keeps cropping up. How painful is desire. And Bhagavan says, if we stick to self-enquiry and go back, all the vasanas will go away. All the tendencies that are making the mind extroverted will subside, will just kshayam. They will get diminished and then they will disappear. And then another freedom will also ensue, says Bhagavan. Kartritvam ashariratvan naiva tasya bhavishyati. Because he is asharira. Asharira, because he has no body consciousness, there is no more limitation, there is no more boundary, there is no more the sorrow of being bound to a body. So there is no more doership, says Bhagavan. Kartritvam naiva tasya bhavishyati. He will never have the least sense of doership. Nothing to carry on our head. I am doing this, I am doing this, I am doing this. This needs to fructify in this way. What if it doesn't fructify? What are the problems? Oh my God, what a heavy weight is this doership which we are carrying on our heads. And Bhagavan says we will be free of that. Kartritva bhavata karma vinashosya samirita tasya vastvantara bhavat samshayanam anudbhavaha. There will be no doubt anymore, no doubts thereafter, no doubts whatsoever, because there is no sense of body consciousness, there is no antaram, there is no differentiation. So Bhagavan says, there will be no samshaya thereafter, no doubt at all, no confusion. What is doubt? Doubt is a confusion. Why? Why? That's the confusion. Why is this happening? Why is it not happening? Why? That confusion. There is no doubt at all after that. One is in perfect peace. And Bhagavan says, Bhavita na punarbaddho vibhinna granthire kada. No more bondage. Bhavita na punarbaddho. Sa sthitih parama shakti. Sa shantih paramamata. That state is a state of great power, and that peace is supreme peace, says Bhagavan. We will, by His grace, dwell on this beautiful combination which Bhagavan has given us over here, the combination of peace and power in the further satsangs. This is actually the last shloka, the last verse of the 9th chapter. But it's a beautiful verse. We will dwell on it by Bhagavan's grace a little more before going into the 10th chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate.
Namo Ramana. Apara Satchit Sukhavadidashe Yasyormimatram Bhuvanam Samastam Guhahitam Tam Ramanam Gabhiram Chintavihinam Hrudi Chintayami Chintavihinam Hrudi Chintayami